everyone. My name is Lee Rosen. I'm the managing editor of the Moscow-Pullman Daily News, and I'd like to welcome you all here tonight. I'm looking forward to a really interesting evening as we explore the open meetings, open records laws for the state of Idaho. This is part of a series of such seminars that the Idahoans for Openness in Government is presenting in northern Idaho over these 3 days. I think you're in Coeur d'Alene, and then tomorrow in Lewiston, and tonight here. Really appreciate you being here. This is a busy evening in town. We've got a big parade and such going on out there in the cold. My wife is marching in that. I'm glad I'm in here. So we will have several skits. Some of you are involved in those that make a point. And we have with us tonight Attorney General of the State of Idaho, Lawrence Wasden, Deputy Attorney General Brian Keane, Betsy Russell, who is the chair of this group, as I understand it at the moment, and the head of the Capitol Bureau for the Spokesman Review. So, without further ado, I will introduce Betsy, and we'll take it from here.
Welcome, everyone. How about that? There, maybe that's good. I'm Betsy Russell. I am the president and a founding board member of IDOG, which stands for Idahoans for Openness in Government, and I'm also the president of the Idaho Press Club. IDOG is a group that brought together lots of people, including people in the press, like me, people in government, like our Secretary of State, Dennis Sursa, who is one of our board members, people with civic groups, attorneys, and others who are just interested in openness in government. And the idea was that we all benefit when everyone knows what the law requires and we comply with it. And that's what these seminars are all about, to inform us so that we can do the right thing. In addition to the places that we mentioned, we were also in Sandpoint on Monday, so this is quite the road show. You have a packet that contains several handouts. And among the pieces in there is a one-page sheet that says, what is IDOG? And that'll tell you a little bit about the group. It's a 501c3 nonprofit educational organization. And you're welcome to join us if you'd like to. We have a lot of information on our website at www.openidaho.org. Also in your packet, you will find an evaluation form. And before you leave tonight, please fill out the evaluation form and leave it here. We got a grant from the National Freedom of Information Coalition, drawing on funds from the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation to put on these seminars, and they really like to hear what people say in the evaluations. That helps us get further grants, so we'd really appreciate you filling that out before you leave tonight. You'll also have a lot of other things in there, and you'll be hearing more about some of them, but I want to put in a personal plug for the Attorney General's Open Meeting Law and Public Records Law manuals. You each get your own copy of these. These are hot off the press, the latest edition, and these are invaluable. As a reporter, I use these all the time. You can also find them online, but it's just so handy to have this on my desk and to look something up, and so now you have your own. So we're going to learn about these. Oh, one other thing Bob Cooper points out, we have a sign-in, and not everyone got a chance to sign in on the way in, so we're going to pass that around. There's also a continuing legal education sign-in for any of you who might happen to be lawyers, and we won't hold you against it. Oh, really? So we're going to learn about these laws in some rather unorthodox ways tonight, and also in some more orthodox ways. There will be some interactive skits, as was mentioned, in which some of you will be participating, that'll show us some of the right things to do under the law and also some of the wrong things to do, some of the things you want to avoid. And we'll also have overviews from Brian Keane, Chief Deputy Attorney General, who will fill in the gaps of what the skits portray and help you understand in fullness what it is we need to do, what it is we shouldn't do, and how we can all make these laws work. There will also be opportunities to have your questions answered. We'll start with the open meeting law. Then after the break, we'll come back and do the public records law. And now I would like to turn it back over to Lee to introduce our Attorney General, Lawrence Wasden.
Attorney General Lawrence Wasden is a leader in the national effort to protect children from internet sexual predators. He's a strong advocate for crime victims' rights, whose work to help victims break the cycle of domestic violence. He is a firm and fair prosecutor, known for his even-handed approach in public corruption cases. He's strongly committed to open government and works to educate Idahoans regarding the state's open meeting and public records laws. His advocacy for senior citizens led to better laws giving Idahoans more control over their health care at the end of life. Attorney General Wasden, a 22-year veteran of the Office of the Attorney General, previously served as Chief of Staff to the Attorney General, Deputy Chief of Staff, and as a Deputy Attorney General representing the Idaho State Tax Commission. He also served as Deputy Prosecuting Attorney in Canyon County, Idaho, and I'm not going to get this right, and as Prosecuting Attorney for Owyhee County, Idaho.
Well done.
Attorney General, I'm not from around here. Attorney General Wasden has served as President of the National Association of Attorneys General and as Chair of the Conference of Western Attorneys General. In 2010, his Western colleagues honored him with the Courage in Public Service Award, a rarely given honor, recognizing Lawrence for acting with courage and integrity in fulfilling the responsibilities of his office. Lawrence and Tracy Wasden were married in 1980 and are proud parents of 4 children and 5 grandchildren. Please welcome Idaho's Attorney General, Lawrence Wasden.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here tonight, and I'll start this a little different because of where we are. First of all, I wanted to recognize some folks that are here, and Butch Alford's here. Thank you for being here. Very much appreciate your support. I think I saw Representative Tom Charles that came in. He's here. Excellent. Randy Fife, I think you're the city attorney, is here with us. Bill Thompson, the county prosecuting attorney, is here. And so, their support here is very valuable to us. I wanted to start off by telling you a quick little story, though. I don't normally do this, but since we're in Moscow, and Louise Regline is here, and she raised me from a pup. I had to admit that. Law student here. I clerked for Louise and for David Swain, and so she did raise me from a pup. But since I'm a vandal, and they're playing tonight, I know, and so perhaps I'm not quite as great a draw as a basketball game. But I wanted to give you some really important political advice. I graduated from the University of Idaho School of Law. My father-in-law played football for Lyle Smith at Boise Junior College. I mean, it's Lyle Smith Field with the blue turf. That's how committed a Bronco he is. My father graduated from Idaho State University in School of Pharmacy in 1955. So I've got them all covered.
You're ecumenical.
I am. But here now comes the important political advice. Don't sing the Vandal fight song on the ISU campus. I just as a suggestion. I'm not really interested in discussing how I learned that valuable lesson, but it is an important one nonetheless. I want to thank Idahoans for Openness in Government and Idaho Press Club for their support of this project. Betsy, I think you've been to 20-some number, I'm not even really sure. 22 of these events. And who's counting? The presentation takes about 3 hours total time. I realize that's a long time, but consider the fact that that's 66 hours of presentation, not counting the preparation time that it takes and the logistics and travel and all the other things that go along with that. So we've been through this rodeo time or two. But I also want to thank Secretary of State Benny Sursa, who serves on the IDOG board, and he doesn't travel with us to make these presentations, which I will make certain he pays for. I also want to thank the Association of Idaho Cities and the Idaho Association of Counties because they have been very supportive of this project. And I also want to thank the Moscow Pullman Daily News for sponsoring tonight's event. And thank you very much for your efforts, and we have to thank them for the cookies and the goodies and all of the other stuff that's gone on. Now, open meeting and public records laws are important to us because they help us as citizens understand what our government is doing, and an informed electorate makes for a stronger democracy. I've often said our greatest strength in this country is public involvement in our government, and oftentimes our greatest weakness is our public involvement in our government, or lack thereof, really, to be more accurate. And so one of my goals as Attorney General is to improve the communication between my office, the media, and the public in general. And so as I've been in office, I have repeatedly made attempts to go out and talk to the local reporters, to the media folks, and I've done that a couple of times a year on average, and that can always prove to be interesting. But it's an effort to kind of open the door, so to speak, on what's going on in my office. And I was in Idaho Falls, and I had a conversation with Dean Miller, who was the managing editor of the Post-Register. And he was talking about training, and we've done a lot of training with counties and cities and the local government. But he was really talking about, maybe what we need to do is kind of get folks together. And so that was sort of the genesis of this project, which is really intended to bring folks from the media and the press together with folks from local government, together with just everyday, ordinary, wonderful citizens who are interested in how government operates. And if we get all of those people together, my hope is that even if we're not able to sing on tune, at least we recognize that there is a sheet of music. That there's a set of laws, a set of rules by which we operate that will help us as it relates to public record, open records and public meetings. A common understanding of these laws can serve three really important purposes. First, to provide timely access to public information. Second, to protect information that the law requires to be protected. For example, the records of active law enforcement investigations. And to reduce conflict over access to government information. Two quick stories for you. On one occasion, as a Deputy Attorney General, I received a public records request from a person who was the target of a criminal investigation, a joint investigation by the U.S. Attorney's Office and our office. And he made a demand for the records during the investigation of what we were finding out about him. Now, that ought to pose somewhat of a problem for those folks who are involved in law enforcement. And so I denied his public records request, and that went all the way to the Idaho Supreme Court. And the Idaho Supreme Court said, if you're the target of a criminal investigation, you don't get to get the records about you until the investigation is completed. In this process that we've gone through, I really felt like we had hit upon a good methodology when, at the conclusion of our first presentation in Idaho Falls, I saw something that really kind of piqued my interest. What had happened was that there was a very, I guess the best word one can use is vociferous dispute between a local government agency and a reporter. And it was intense. And so at our first presentation, both the local government official and the reporter were in the room. And we gave them all of the material that we're going to give you tonight. And at the conclusion of the evening, I walked out in the hallway, and the reporter and the official were actually talking to each other. Can you imagine such a thing? It was astounding. And as a consequence, they were able to then kind of resolve some of those issues, and the information began to flow, and everybody was better served by that. So we get a lot of phone calls from folks when there's a local dispute, say of a open meeting issue or a public records issue. And kind of what happens over time is this. Bob Cooper from my office, who's my Director of Constituent Affairs, will get a call from the reporter, the folks in the media, and he'll kind of hear that side of the story. Well, local government folks will call Brian Kane, who is from my office, the Assistant Chief Deputy, and he will hear another side of the story. And we didn't really keep statistics, but basically what we found over time was that about half the time the local government officials were right, which means about half the time they were wrong, which meant that about half the time the media was right, which meant about half the time they were wrong. Now, recognizing we've just finished the World Series, if you went into the World Series batting .500, that would be really great. But in the area of public records and open meetings, batting .500 is not a very good average. So our goal tonight is to increase our batting average so that we can be something beyond .500. Now, you have a stack of materials that we're going to go through. And we've laid them on your chair in reverse order. So I'm going to start with the one on the bottom, okay? That's the green one. We're not going to talk about the green one other than what I say to you in just the next couple of seconds. This is the Idaho Ethics in Government Manual. I recommend it to your reading. It is also available online on the Attorney General website, my website. But we don't have time tonight in tonight's discussion to really address this. But I would, since I have the opportunity to give it to you, I have. So I recommend it to your reading. Also, then, is the red manual. The red manual is the Idaho Public Records Law Manual. That's going to be the second half of tonight's proceeding. The way these manuals are structured is that there's a series of questions and answers up front, and then the statute, which appears in the back of the manual. The whole thing's there. Carry this with you. Use it. Whatever you want to do with it, but it's intended to be helpful. The one we're going to start with tonight is the blue one. The blue one is the Idaho Open Meeting Law Manual. Again, structured in the same way. These manuals have been updated with the laws which were passed in the last legislative session. In fact, I believe we finished the update last week and got them printed, and you now have the hot new ones in your hands. Now for one moment of an advertisement, and that is you also have a DVD. This is it's called Protect Teens. It's a program we started about 5 years ago to help parents and children provide some safety measures for our children so that they can be protected from sexual predators who are roaming the internet. And it's 22 minutes long. It'll play in your DVD player or it'll play in your computer. I ask you to take a few minutes. Not right now, but a few minutes later, and watch that DVD. If you don't have children at home, you may have grandchildren, or your neighbors have children or grandchildren. We've distributed about 130,000 copies of this DVD, and I've personally made well over 60 presentations to Kiwanis clubs and church groups and Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and Boys and Girls Clubs.
What year?
What year? This is a brand new one. It was issued in 2010, but it includes discussion of things like sexting and texting and cyberbullying and a variety of things that our kids are facing out there. And so they are free. You can get copies of this, or you can go online if you want us to make a presentation to your group. We're glad to do that. I think, Bill, you're part of that group, and you may even do these. Yes, you are.
Yes, sir.
And so it's a part of a coalition of the prosecutors, the sheriffs, the police chiefs, the medical association, the school administrators association, the PTA. We will come and we will discuss this with your group if you want us to do so. We're happy to do it. We've actually saved kids in Idaho from becoming victims of sexual abuse because of this. So with all of that, again, I wanted to acknowledge Betsy and her work and the things that she has done. We very much appreciate it. I thank Idahoans for Openness in Government, the Press Club, the Association of Counties, the Idaho Association of Cities, and most of all, I want to thank you. You've taken time out of your busy evening to come be with us. I hope tonight when you walk out, you say to yourself, I know something more than I knew when I walked in here. And if we've done that, we've been successful. Thank you very much.